Hey, Shalom Malcolm. This is Rakam Makapash from GMS London, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chakwadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful world, pushing this truth in all sincerity. Back in with another video, and I got this article here from the Guardian, UK News, right? And it turns out that we were right about this devil, that he just out here destroying everything, right? And you know what? We know this to be true anyway, but this is just adding to the case that Esau is just not fit for rulership, man. That he's the devil the Bible speaks of, and he needs to be destroyed, man, and taken out of power, because the earth is suffering underneath him, man. So news here in the UK, is titled "Toxic PFAS," which will link to cancer, right? Toxic PFAS above proposed safety limits in almost all English waters tested, right? It's an exclusive 110 out of 117 bodies of water in the UK tested by Environment Agency would fail standards, with levels in fish 322 times the planned limit. Like, beginning with these elites, man, obviously, they're the propagators of all the destruction and all the pollution, all the death in the earth, right? Through their various, means and avenues of doing things, right? Right, beginning with them, right? They are destroying life on earth, right? And nothing is safe, right? Nowhere, nothing is safe, man. And Esau, the so-called white man, will tell you that that we're as a race progressing, we're being progressive because we got all this technology, but they don't seem to be doing any damn fucking good. We can't even drink the water. We got cancer rates, flying through the roof. Everything that Esau is doing in the name of progression and science and all this type of bullshit, man, is really destroying people, man, because he doesn't live the life that he's that we're supposed to live to create longevity, man. Right, to live well, right, to be blessed with the Heavenly Father, man, because the Heavenly Father gave us a way to live. All right, and he knows the ways, right? He got the Bible, in his possession, right? He knows the ways he's supposed to behave on earth, and yet he does the exact opposite while pretending to be, godly, right? But the truth is, he's in fact the devil, and everything that he's done brings about destruction and death. All right. So, and like I said, this is just more and more evidence, that stacks against him, that he can't say that, well, it wasn't me. I tried to do the right thing, but you never did the right thing in your damn life, right? Everything is been really to push your own agenda to bring about more wickedness in the earth. So yeah, just more testimonies. All right, I'm not gonna make this a long one, right? But let's get into the article. Right, it says nearly all rivers, lakes, and ponds in England tested for a range of PFAS known as forever chemicals exceed proposed new safety limits, and 85% contain levels at least five times higher. Analysis of official data reveals. Out of 117 water bodies tested by the Environment Agency with multiple types of PFAS, 110 would fail the safety standard, according to the analysis by Wildfire, the Countryside Link, and the Rivers Trust. They also found levels of PFOs, a banned carcinogenic PFAS, in fish, which were on average 322 times higher than planned limits for wildlife, right? So not only is it in our water, it's in our food, right? And we see more and more these types of articles where our body is defiled and contaminated by all these pollutants that are in circulation in the planet because of Esau, the plastics and the radiation and all these types of things, right? They're all in our body because it's all in the food system, in the ecosystem. Esau pumping the shit in the air and the water, in the fertilizer and all these types of things here, and we're consuming it. Okay, and we're dying, man. We're getting sick, and Esau's happy to prescribe you his medication so his pharmaceutical industries can thrive off it. But But you're actually sick. We're all actually sick. You know? And like I say, he makes money out of all of this, man. So he has no real reason to do anything about it, or he ain't sorry. They make up all these excuses. Oh, we didn't know this was happening, or we're gonna do our best to make it right. We're gonna clean up the waters at your expense, at your taxpayers' money, because all these MFers, right, right, these CEOs of all these businesses that are and all these bodies that are supposed to be looking after these things, man. The money don't come out of their pocket because usually they're all the money goes to the top, right? And they can't tackle the cost of cleaning up these things, and so it comes out the government spending money, which is taxpayers' money. So you pay for it. You gotta make all the adjustments. You gotta use less water. You gotta do more of this, or you gotta do all these things, man. But these man they ain't doing nothing. Devils, right? So anyway, it says if just one portion of such freshwater fish was eaten each month, right, this would exceed the safe thresholds of PFOs for people to consume over a year, according to the NGOs. Right, PFAs or per and polyfluoroalkyl substances are a group of thousands of human-made chemicals. Human-made chemicals. Who made these chemicals? I'll give you one guess. Right, and families such like the DuPont family, brother did an excellent video on that family and the Teflon and the non-stick pans and all that kind of shit, right? And obviously there's been like what they call it, those things like the documentary type things been made on these dudes, right? Like, it's these elites, man, the ESOS elites that are bringing around all these things, right? They got all these researchers, making these chemicals and bringing all these things into existence. Joe Blogs down the street, he weren't doing this, but he's a consumer because you cause him to buy these things that are making you companies rich. And when things like this come out and someone gets sued, right, and someone gets sued, right, and you got to pay out this money to the people that you've harmed, right, all it ends up being is that you pay a few, maybe 100, a few million or whatever, 100 million or whatever, and these families, these companies have billions, hundreds of billions. It's like a penny. It's like a penny they just lost. And no one gives a fuck about a penny when your penny drops out your pocket. It's like the dust of the balance to them, right? Even though it's a big number to us. Oh, they were fined 200 million. Oh yeah, so it sounds like a mad amount of money, man. But when they've got like 5 billion, it's like, what's 200 million and 5 billion? The vast difference between a billion and a million. Finding them 200 million is nothing, ultimately. Right? So they don't care. They get away with shit. They can afford to pay out. They don't care. They're still making profit. Anyway, it says human-made chemicals used in industrial processes and products such as non-stick pans, right, which I just mentioned, right, clothing and firefighting foams. They do not break down in the environment, and some are linked to diseases, including cancers and hormone disruption. PFAS pollution is widespread, prompting the EU to propose a new water quality standard that limits the combined toxicity of 24 PFAS to 4.4 nanograms per litre of water, calculated as PFOA equivalents, a method that weights each substance according to its toxicity related to PFOA, particularly hazardous and well-studied carcinogens that is now banned. So what this is really, what's being said right now is that the UK, they don't really want to have to do all of this because it's going to be costly, right? But the EU are trying to bring this through right now, and because the UK is not officially part of the EU anymore in terms of like its laws and stuff like that, it's dragging its feet. We'll do our investigation and this and that, but you already know it's like our water's fucked. All our water is contaminated, basically. We got to take more time to get results and analysis, and bro, it's not bullshit, man. You just don't want to pay for it. of course. You know, where was I? It says the EU is also planning to regulate about 10,000 PFAs as one class, as there are too many to assess on a case by case basis, and because none break down the environment, right? But the UK has no plans to follow suit, right? So they don't even really want to do anything about it, right? Which is mad, really, isn't it? So scientists continue to identify PFAs as one of the biggest threats of our time, yet the UK is falling behind other countries in restricting them, said Hannah Evans of the environmental charity FIDRA. And I said all these disasters and all these challenges that we face is because of Esau and you know how he goes about doing things and how he's got the world doing things, right? With all this technology that he's you know been bringing around, right? He's responsible for destroying the earth. All right, and so there's judgment for him, man. So in fact, let's just get some scriptures now, right? Let me start here. Ezekiel 4 and 13, right? And the Lord Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, right? So whether you're drinking or you're eating it, man, it's all defiled, man. Whether you're breathing, the air is defiled. Everything's defiled. Everything that he, you know, is around is defiled, right? And he controls all of this, you know? So it's all defiled, right? So prophecy says we will eat our bread, or we'll eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, among the other nations, right? Where I will drive them. That's where we are right now, in the hand of our enemies, you know, having to live off them, you know, their industry, you know, their kingdoms, right? And so we don't really have any say in, you know, any of this, right? We're consumers. We can't grow our own things, and even if you did, like I said, Esau's polluted every damn thing anyway. You know, you can't even, like I said, the air's polluted, the water's, you can't even water things because the water's fucked. You know what I mean? Contaminating shit. So what do you do? You're subject to these things, right? But again, that's all prophetic, right? It's Revelation 11 verse 18, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth, right? Everything Esau touches, you know, leads to death, right? You know, like that story of Midas, you know, was it the king that touched everything? Everything he touched was turned to gold. Well, if Esau, everything turns to death. You know, and you know, and yet he's still being looked at like he's like necessary for the earth, man, and he's quite the opposite, right? The earth needs to get rid of him, right? And the Lord's going to do that in due time, you know. Let's see, right? It says Emma Adler, the director of Impact of Wildlife and Countryside Link, says PFAS are linked to an explosion of impacts for wildlife and public health, from cancers to immune issues. Right? These new figures underline just how widespread PFAS pollution is. PFAS regulation must be a much clearer priority in government missions to clean up UK rivers and improve the nation's health. Right? I mean, RFK wants you to get you get wearables, man. But you know what are you gonna do with that? You're gonna monitor all these things about you, but you can't change it. You can't change the fact that your water's polluted, your food's polluted. You know what do you do? We're gonna get rid of all the red dye in the food, man. It's all crap. At the end of the day, right? This dude knows ain't gonna change shit, right? This is Faye Tali Martini, the chief executive officer. What the hell? Breast Cancer UK said evidence points to the potential for some PFAS to be related to health issues, including increasing breast cancer risk. Millions of families affected by this disease will want the government to do everything they can to deliver tougher PFA rules to protect our health. Right? So last year, 59 PFAS experts urged the urged the government to follow the science and regulate all PFAs as a single class, warning their extreme persistence, regardless of toxicity, pose a serious environmental threat. Esau poses great environmental threat, man. And this is why you need to follow the science. You need to follow the scriptures, man, and get rid of this devil. You know, the Lord's going to destroy him that destroyed the earth, right? And that's him all day long, right? This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 3. I'm just got the point, right? It says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, right? Esau's the ruler. You so-called white people are ruling in the earth, and you laud yourself for being so smart and intelligent, right? But yet everything you do brings more decay, right? To the point where, you know, everyone's talking, you know, you got everyone talking about this global warming and climate change and shit. You all man talking about going to Mars and this and that. We need to leave the planet because the Earth is gonna. This is because of you. There was nothing wrong with the Earth. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing wrong with this place until you came. You know, and polluted every damn thing, man. You got like space debris, you know, floating around Earth and shit. Like you're just insufferable, man. Right? All this, you know, chemicals, the radiation in the water and shit. Right? Pesticides, chemical, you know, everything that you do is adding to the decay. Right? But you want to say, like, oh yeah, so it's my fault. No, we all need to chip in together. You know, we're one people, one planet. We need to look after it, bro. It's just you, right? You and the elites, right? That's destroying this place. So the Most High is gonna take care of you. All right, and all this wickedness that you've been propagating throughout the earth, it needs to come to an end. This is Job 9 verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Right. This is where we are right now. Okay. Esau has rulership over the earth. Right. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Right. So right now we've got the wicked in rulership. Right. And obviously, let's get the next one here. Proverbs 29 verse 16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth. Right. Evil increases. You know. All things concerning death increase. Right. It says, but the righteous shall see their fall. Right. This is what we need. We need to see their fall. Right. This world can't continue under the rulership of these Edomites. Right. Because everything would end up dead. Right. And yeah, they might be able to fly off, you know, on a space station somewhere and leave everybody to rot. Because they'll show you that in their movies. Right. They're quite happy to leave you here. Right. They leave you to suffer on Earth. Right. But they'll always sit up on Elysium, you know, on their space station, looking down on you, you know, drinking tea and crumpets. Oh, no, yes. Fucking Rothschild and them, man, looking down on the peasants. Yeah, they're happy to go do that, right? But the earth is gonna be fucked, and the people on it are gonna be fucked. All right, and that's just not how the earth is supposed to be, right? So yeah, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. Right? Yeah, transgression is increasing under these devils, man. Things are not getting good or better. You know, we're not enlightened as a people. People are becoming worse and worse. It's fucking terrible right here. You know? So, you know, all this deception as if things are progressing, that's just bullshit. Yeah, technologically, we got, you know, we got quote unquote advanced technology or whatever the case may be, but the people are suffering, man. Everything on earth is suffering. We got AI now, right? And we don't even need people no more, like, because people are through, and AIs, they don't get through, all right? You know, AIs don't get sick because they don't, you know, you ain't got to pay for the medical expenses because every man's sick. You know, you ain't gonna worry about all of that, right? These men are suffering from anxiety and shit, and depression. You know, they're like one moment away from you know, cancelling their life subscription. You know what I'm saying? Like, these men are crazy out here because of Esau's inventions and his philosophies, his wine. You know. Let's see. It's Psalms 50 verse 16 says, "But unto the wicked God saith, What hast thou to declare my statutes, or that thou should take my covenant in thy mouth?" Right? Like I said, they've got the Bible in their possession. They know how things are supposed to be done, right? And they'll even claim that they're supposed to be God fearing people, right? But we know in the science community, man, them man are looking for every reason to not believe in God, right? And so they don't really adhere to the ways that people are supposed to live by because they don't respect them, right? Esau wants to rule the world in his image, all right? So he doesn't really promote none of that stuff that's in the Bible, even though he hides behind it, claiming to be a believer or whatever. But he's just doing the work of Satan. All right, it says, "But unto the wicked God saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee." Right? Because if they cared, they wouldn't be doing all the bullshit that they've done. Okay, the waters wouldn't be so polluted. The air, the water, the food, they wouldn't be as polluted, man. And the people wouldn't be so degenerate. But like we read earlier, our unwise king destroyeth his people. Because he doesn't uphold the tenets of the Lord. He doesn't uphold the commandments, the laws, the land Sabbaths and things like he's not interested in that. He want to make that money. And get that power. On me. In Psalms 58 verse, I'll start from the top, verse 1. To the chief musician Altashif, Mitcham of David, do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? Yea, in heart ye work wickedness. You weigh the violence of your earth in the hands, right? As I said, everything he's doing, he's causing damage and harm to the planet and to the people. Right? Not only is he a warmonger, right? He loves the warfare, right? He likes tormenting, destroying lands and stealing from people, right? Got a whole military industrial complex to help him wage war in the earth, right? So yeah, he actually, performs war in the earth, violence, right? But that's just one aspect of his violence, right? Even his doctrine, his philosophies, it's all violence in the earth, man. Because it's ways that are not right. It's ways that destroy people. Like I said, the pollution of the waters and the air. It's all violence, man. This guy needs to be stopped. All right? So the verse 3, "The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies." Right? And that's what he does is chat shit. He gasses himself, right? That he's so great. And we're doing it for the betterment of people. Like, he's the only ruler that can, guide people to the future and prosperity and democracy, freedom from all. Like, so you have to have this man in power. You must want him, because he's the only one that's gonna do it for you. Like Trump, he's the only guy, and he ain't doing shit. He's never done shit. That's the only things they've ever done is forward the elite's gender, man. The people, they don't care about the people. They don't care about your suffering, man. So they can't be spoken to. They're not interested in you, man. Right? They're just here to deceive you. Right? So the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, right? So their disposition is to be wicked. Right? That's a whole race of people right there in Esau. These Edomites. So they as soon as they'll be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. Right? They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear. Right? And like I said, they everything they're doing, it leads to death and decay. Right? So it's like a poison. They are a poison in the earth. That's killing everybody. So which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Right? They won't be told any different. They won't be told what the right way to do things are. They don't care about the right way. They don't care about all of that. Right? Verse 6 is, "Break their teeth, O God, Yahweh, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions." Right? The Most High is going to take power away from them. Beginning with with the military, right? The Most High is going to destroy their power in the earth, Because without a military, you can't hold power. You know? But I want to come back here in Sirach chapter 10 and finish off with this, right? Where is it? Is it this one? Yeah. Going mad, right? Yeah, we're back in Sirach chapter 10, verse 4, right? So the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, right? Ultimately, the Most High is the one that's in control, right? And right now, he's giving it into the hand of these Edomites, right? And these Edomites are doing wickedness in the earth, right? But that's, part of the Lord's will and, part of his prophecy, okay? And it says, and in due time, he will set over it one that is profitable, right? One that's actually going to benefit the people that live on this earth, right? Because right now, that's not the case, right? People are suffering on the earth, man. And things just go from bad to worse, you know what I mean? And where is this progression? Where is this progression when more and more people dying of these diseases and obesity and all these different types of things, that these metrics that go up, right? That shouldn't be happening, right? How is this progression? Everything that we have around us is making us iller. So it doesn't really benefit us, even though it seems cool or whatever the case may be. It's not really benefiting us really long term. On me. All right. So again, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable, right? And the one that is going to be profitable to the world is Yahweh Shai, right? And the Israelites in authority, right? That's going to profit the earth. As much as you don't like us, you ain't going to like us for the first 1,000 years, right? The way of life we're going to give to you is going to profit you, man. And you ain't got to worry about catching cancer from drinking water. You know what I'm saying? Or your food is full of chemicals. You ain't got to worry about all of that. Whether when you give birth, if you can give birth, right? Because all this shit fucks up your bodily functions, right? You ain't got to worry about all of that. Whether you can give birth or not, whether or not your child's gonna have 6 heads or some shit, like you ain't got to worry about all of that, because the water's clean. It ain't irradiated, it ain't got PFAs in it. Because it ain't meant to be there. Because they ain't going to be made in the kingdom. What the hell's going on here? Right? You ain't got to worry about all of this, man. Right? But that's just one small thing out of the plethora of things that Esau is doing to this earth. And so we need Yahweh Shai. We need Yahweh Shai, man. So I'm gonna end it there. Give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Kakwadash, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video, man. Until next time, I say shalom.